Hello, everyone, and today I wanted to speak about spiritual awakening, something that a lot of us experiencing of late, and there will be many more of us who will awaken and experience this magnificent journey that we have come to always go through. It is part of our evolution. If you're breathing and you're alive or you're not, you still are evolving at a pace that is most comfortable for you as a soul, as opposed to what everyone else would think for you is right. Now, the most common issue that we face when it comes to understanding spiritual awakening is the time it takes for things to happen. For some of us, the gifts come across really quickly. For some of us, it does, and for others, it takes time. The reason why this is so is because if you are a young soul, or this is the first time that your soul is awakening at all, even though you have these gifts as a soul, you are using them for the first time in this dimension, which is very dense. So you need to understand that there is a certain amount of practice, a certain amount of patience that goes into learning as opposed to remembering. Applying what you know as a soul in this dense dimension, it takes time, effort, and great energy. And of course, your understanding and your healing. A lot of things go into a complete spiritual awakening and opening up your gifts and being able to use them. For some souls, it has taken lifetimes to get what they are. That is why I'm saying, if you're an old soul, it is a different experience. Spiritual awakening is different for each and every one of us. You cannot expect yourself to have the similar signs and experiences and whatever someone else is going through when they're spiritually awakened may not apply to you. What you go through is just your exclusive journey, and you have to respect that, because your journey is different for your soul. You see, what applies for you may not apply for someone else. And that involves everything from meditation to opening up your third eye or activating your third eye. A lot of things are different. The experience varies from one person to the other. So to compare and to think that everybody has to fit into your ideals of how a spiritual awakening should be, or vice versa, is actually impractical. So for instance, the other thing is, if you're an old soul, on the other hand, as opposed to being a new soul who has to go through the whole process of, learning how to implement all your gifts, transporting them from the other side to this side and actually using them here, as opposed to this, for an old soul, when the spiritual awakening happens, it does not have to mean that the soul is awakening for the first time ever. It could mean that the soul is awakening again in this incarnation. Do you know what I mean? So the difference is remembering versus learning. For an old soul, they just remember. They remember what they experienced. So there is a way where you will actually have maybe a dramatic experience, like your third eye will certainly start kick open, and you will have visions or dreams, and sometimes you will have a certain amount of knowing or emotional experiences that you've never had before. Now that is practically, usually that happens for souls who have awakened before. Now when I'm talking about souls who have, who are new, you may have similar experiences where all out of the blue suddenly you start having visions, or you start seeing things or feeling things that are out of the ordinary in this world. It is how your guides and your guardian angel and the ascended masters are testing to see how you will respond to these gifts, how you will respond to the experience of awakening, of awakening in this incarnation. So it is different. The experience is different for all of us. So you cannot basically compare notes. Basic things, elementary things can be compared. Like you can compare, you can exchange notes about how your third eye is doing, the kind of visions that you're experiencing. You can talk about how the kind of tools that you can use to improve your gifts. These are things that you can practically use, but one thing that you cannot exchange is the overall experience. That will be yours alone. So you don't have to feel like you need to fit into a box either. The online community is great. It's great for people of like-minded experiences coming together, but again, you don't have to let them influence your own evolution. Your evolution is yours alone, is exclusively meant for you. You don't have to allow it to influence you in any way. It does not have to influence you in any way, because what they say may not even apply to you. So you don't have to try and fit yourself into a box that they put you in. All you need to do is allow the process of this whole experience, embrace it as yours alone and take it one day at a time. Again, don't rush. That is what this topic is about. It is about not rushing. When you rush, you're only putting yourself up into a platform that will be completely frustrating, because this dimension that we live in, there is space and time. So we feel the need to rush through experiences. We need to rush through this. We need to do this at a certain timeline. But on the whole, if you look at your soul is eternal, and in the other dimensions, time and space is not a concern at all. So they do not understand, or they do not understand the value of time. So when you say that you have to hurry up with a gift, that does not apply. That is probably why a lot of us are frustrated when it comes to spiritual experiences, because no matter how much you try or how hard you work at something, you would not be able to speed things up. Your gifts will take time to evolve. Everything takes time. So you have to be patient, all right? It takes time. But then the experience will be worth it. When you wait and patiently go through it, take it one day at a time, it will be so worth it. So don't be impatient. There is no need to rush with your gifts. Do it one day at a time. Try using gifts. Explore the many possibilities. Explore the many possibilities of communicating and channeling your spirit guides and guardian angel. Try tools which are basic and easy to understand, like a pendulum, or you could try automatic writing. These two are possibly the simplest way of communicating, because you don't really have to come up with things, you know what I mean? You don't have to work your intuition. These are things that are basic, and you can always learn how to use these tools. There are a lot of online tutorials and guidelines for you to follow to use these tools, and they will be very helpful for you. So take it one day at a time. Don't rush yourself. Don't be hard on yourself when it comes to exploring yourself spiritually. And meditate so that raises your vibrations for you to be more receptive towards these messages as you channel. It becomes easier for you to receive messages when you meet them in between. When you raise your vibrations, and they can lower it a little less for you. When you are very stressed, or when you're sick, or when you are going through so much emotionally, your vibrations will reduce, and it is okay to not feel them at that point of time. There is no need to think that this is it, that's closing down or anything. You're not disconnecting in any way. You will reconnect when you're feeling better and your vibrations go up. And over time, even that won't matter. Like, I've been doing this for over 20 years of my life, and it doesn't matter to me now much if I'm emotionally upset, or if I'm overwhelmed, or if I'm sick. I still am able to use my gifts to a certain extent. At least 50% of it works for me to function and do whatever I'm doing on a daily basis. So I want you to understand that it takes time, practice, just like any muscle in the body. It needs you to work on it. But be patient with yourself. Don't stress yourself or your gifts, especially the third eye, because it may get strained and stressed, and you will have other side effects like migraines when you work yourself too hard on your gifts. Take your time to channel and learn and explore your spiritual experiences. It is something that is very unique, and it doesn't go by the norms and the nuances of this dimension. This world works in a completely different ideology than what the spiritual world lives in. So it takes a complete different way of understanding things and accepting things. You will need to heal from a lot of things from the past, your fears and doubts, to be able to grow spiritually. You need to accept these changes. You need to be able to shed a lot of things that no longer serve any purpose and are toxic in your life, for you to bring in blessings from the other side. There are a lot of things, and spiritual growth is a beautiful experience if you would look at it that way. It's again perception. If you look at it with a lot of fear and doubt, then the responses will be pretty much along the same lines. It will take a longer time for you to get there. So take one day at a time. Work at it one day at a time, and you will realize that every experience, every day is worth it. So you just have to take it one day at a time. Well, the best way to work on your gifts, as I said, is the basic way to get through to channeling is automatic writing or using a pendulum. That is the first few things that will be very, very helpful. You can move on to cards and other techniques like intuition, relying on intuition like I do. I'm an energy reader. So, there are various ways of doing this. But the bottom line is these tools will only remain tools. You are relying on them. It is like having a crutch before you learn how to walk. The baby needs a walker before it gets up and starts walking on its own. Use them only for learning. Use them only until you get really comfortable with your intuition. Do not rely on them, because at the end of the day, it is not these tools that work. It is you and your intuition that works. So you have to trust yourself. Don't rely on these things. Once you get the hang of these things, you can set them aside and tell your guides that you're ready to move on, because that's what will really set you off. That is where you will learn that you have more strength in you than you can rely on any of these tools. Work on these things. Automatic writing, you can look it up. I will come up with more of these. This is a spiritual awakening series that I started up, so I will be talking about each and every gift. I will talk more about how to channel. This is just one of the first series, is the introduction. So this is how much I would share with you this time around. There's a lot of information. Please go back and listen to this complete recording if you haven't been here right from the beginning. I will be coming back next few days, and I'll release the next video message for you. Right now it is about not rushing yourself, taking it one day at a time. Work on yourself. Meditate. Raise your vibrations, and ground yourself when you need to. Don't have to always stay on cloud 9. Okay? So take care of yourself. I love you all. I'll see you later at the live session in a few hours. Good luck and God bless you. Namaste.